Chicago Bulls news, rumors, trades, and free agent signings. So after yesterday's lack of moves by the Chicago Bulls until a last-minute deal at the end of the night to sign Andre Drummond to a 2-year, $6.6 million deal. Keep in mind that second year is a player option. The Bulls made a few moves today. But before I get into those moves, if you're a fan of Chicago Bulls and you like Chicago Bulls related content or anything else that I do on this channel, which I cover a lot of stuff, go ahead and smash that like button. If you know anybody that would be interested in anything that I do on this channel, or you want to share this video on any of your social media platforms, please do. I would appreciate that. I'm not asking you to do that, but if you want to, fine by me. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on everything that I talk about in this video. What moves you want to see the Bulls make, what moves are realistic for the Bulls to make, or moves that could happen in the future, because we got to think about the future. We got some decisions to make after this offseason, or after the season's over with. Well, I'm thinking way ahead, going into 2023, 2024. And of course, you're watching the video anyway. Show your support to the channel. Don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your support, and be a part of something special. So, the Bulls. Now, I could have went on and did videos yesterday, right away when free agency started, because I had the afternoon off, or I guess it was technically the evening. Today, I had a really busy day, starting work at 7 a.m. and working till 5 p.m. And then after that, right away, I went into watching the final 2 episodes of Stranger Things Season 4, which was like 5 hours long, 4 hours, and in between 4 and 5 hours long. Then I worked out, and then I watched a few YouTube videos, kind of dozed off during one of them. So now I'm finally getting around to covering this news, but I guess just to have it on the channel, the Bulls did re-sign Zach LaVine, which was expected, to the 5-year max deal. 5 years, $215.16 million. I think it's an overpay. I'll be honest, I don't think Zach LaVine is worth the max deal, but if you don't sign Zach LaVine, you can't just sign somebody else for that deal. It goes away. You can't use it. Because we have Zach LaVine's bird rights, we can use that money for him. So I guess we have to do it. I like the fact that we're keeping a superstar. He's in his prime. Maybe Zach LaVine improves. I mean, he's not the best defender. Certainly, he's efficient on offense when he's not dealing with an injury. So let's hope that Zach LaVine is 100% and ready to go for the next or the following season. And hopefully him, DeMar, and a healthy Lonzo Ball, Nikola Vucevic can bring us a really good record and possibly a shot at a championship, because that's what we need. It's been a long time since 1998 when the Bulls beat the Utah Jazz to win their 6th NBA championship. So Zach LaVine is back on the Bulls. I expected that to happen, although I thought it was going to be one of the first things announced yesterday. And I'm still wondering why the Knicks haven't been charged with tampering for Hartenstein being signed right away. Obviously, that was tampering, but no, they only pick on the Bulls and the Heat for some reason. But whatever. And then later on, in kind of a surprising move, I didn't actually think this was going to happen, but the Bulls actually re-signed Derrick Jones Jr. to a 2-year, $6.6 million deal, and that second year is a player option. So it's a good deal. Derrick Jones Jr. probably could have got 10. Well, I don't know if he got any offers, but certainly he's a guy that could be around the $9 to $12 million range. He's okay as a player, but I like the deal. I mean, it's a low-risk move, and some people, not everybody, a lot of people are good with it, but some people are really upset about the Andre Drummond deal. I'm going to tell you what, I've actually wanted Andre Drummond on the Bulls for about 4 years now. I think Andre Drummond could easily start. He's getting older, but he's still only 28 years old. Is he a perimeter defender? No, but what Andre Drummond could do is stand in the paint and defend and be that physical force that Tristan Thompson wasn't and Tony Bradley wasn't. And I'm not upset with Tony Bradley at all. I like Tony Bradley as a player. I say this in almost every video. I think people expected too much from the guy. I mean, the guy's only making 1.6, well, last year at least, 1 point something million dollars. I think he had lofty expectations, and he's a young guy that's just learning the ropes. So give the Kim some time. I'm sure that we'll probably waive Tony Bradley or put him in a trade at some point. I just don't see him coming over into next season. I want him to stay on the Bulls, though. I like Tony Bradley. But bringing back Derrick Jones Jr. to play the 3, hopefully, maybe a little 4, but not the 5, because he's a little undersized, even though he has that long wingspan. I like it. Derrick Jones Jr. is actually a fan of the Chicago Bulls, and that's why he took this deal to come back and, keep that camaraderie on this team. So I like the deal. And again, I love the Drummond deal. We have him. Well, if he plays good, he'll probably decline his player option. But let's just say he's mediocre, but good, but not amazing. He stays with us next year. For some reason, Nikola Vucevic leaves. We have Drummond at least for that season, so we don't have to worry about frantically trying to find a center, because a lot of centers are going to be off the market next year. And people are complaining that the Bulls didn't get Mitchell Robinson. Well, they honestly couldn't afford him. To pay him, what did he get today? 4 years, $60 million, so $15 million per season. I don't know if Mitchell Robinson is worth that much. And yeah, it would have been nice to have Mitchell Robinson. He's a little bit more, if from what I know, he can move his feet a little bit faster than Andre Drummond can, because Andre Drummond is older. But to pay a guy, let's say we give him our full mid-level exception, going back, and let's say we give him $10 million. I don't want to pay a guy on the bench $10 million that's a backup center that really doesn't make a difference. And would we really have Mitchell Robinson on the floor in the last, 5 minutes of the game? Probably not. So, I mean, there's positives, there's negatives. I like the fact that we're paying our starters money and our reserves are getting, what they're worth, their value. And I think Andre Drummond's deal is a value deal. I think Derrick Jones Jr. re-signing for the Bulls for $6.6 million for 2 seasons, player option for the second year, is great. Hopefully he does great. I like it. Now, apparently, and I haven't specifically heard this from them, but sources, other YouTubers, and I watch a lot of YouTube channels regarding the Bulls, that the Reinsdorfs don't want to go over the luxury tax, and they're just below it right now, and that's why we're not being very active. I mean, we're going to have to at some point. I mean, we got contracts like Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu coming up next year. If Kobe White's even on the Bulls still, which I don't know about. So that's why there's a lack of moves. Now, as far as what we can do, we have one roster spot available. Now, I really want to see the Bulls make a trade, because we have a trade exception. I think we still have it. Maybe it's expired already, but we have that trade exception, like $5 million from the deal with Houston for Daniel Tice. I want to see the Bulls package Kobe White, either Javonte Green or Tony Bradley, and that trade exception, or everyone, so Bradley, Green, and Kobe White in the trade exception, to Orlando for Jonathan Isaac. I'm really high on Jonathan Isaac, and here's why I'm high on him. The Orlando Magic as a team have too many power forwards. They have too many centers. They have too many power forwards, just off the top of my head. And there's really no room for all these guys on Orlando. If you look at their roster, which I'm actually going to pull up right now just so I have it handy in front of me. Bear with me here. So Jonathan Isaac's been injured for 2 seasons. I don't know what his health status is right now. Maybe he's not healthy, and if that's the case, if he's not going to be back right away going into the season, then obviously this wouldn't work. But if he is ready to go, I think this is a guy that you could take a gamble on, because he's exactly he doesn't have the three-point shooting, but he does have the defense, really good defense, at least last time we heard about, and he certainly could make why is my phone not working now? This should not take this long. I'm sorry for the delay here. I should have had this pulled up already. That's on me. Now, I tried to do this video once already before, and I couldn't remember the guy that they drafted first. It's Paulo Banchero, but now I can. So, they got Mo Bamba back. They have Bol Bol. I don't know how much time Bol Bol's going to play, but he's still on the roster. They re-signed him. They have Wendell Carter Jr., who we're very familiar with. They have, of course, Jonathan Isaac. Okoye, who probably won't play that much, and they have the Wagners. They just have too many guys that could play up front, in addition to Paulo Banchero, who's their prize rookie taken number 1 overall. There's no room for Jonathan Isaac, and his trade value right now is I would think it's at a low, with not playing for 2 years and having like a $17 million deal. If their opinion on him is his value is low, if we can trade Kobe White, that trade exception, and either a combination of Javonte Green or Tony Bradley, or both of them, to get Jonathan Isaac, I would like to do that deal and then sign 2 guys that can shoot threes as our other 2 players on our roster. Now, as far as this trade that I'm proposing, I don't know how that affects the luxury tax. If using that trade exception doesn't make us go over the luxury tax, I'm not exactly sure how that would work. You know, taking in Isaac's contract, which is $17 million, and Kobe White and Javonte Green and Tony Bradley, if you use them both, is about $9 to $10 million. I don't know if it would work actually, but if it can, I think that's a deal the Bulls should look at. Now, it could backfire. Obviously, you'd want to take a look at Jonathan Isaac's medicals. Man, I talk a lot about Jonathan Isaac. I have an infatuation with him. It's probably a 2K thing because we know how much of a god Jonathan Isaac is in NBA 2K. So that would be what I'd want to do. Obviously, this team needs a lot more shooting, but it would be nice. Now, if Jonathan Isaac comes over, I think we put Patrick Williams on the bench. I wouldn't mind seeing DeMar DeRozan come off the bench, but I get it. We got to keep him in the lineup. So Patrick Williams can come off the bench to, log heavy minutes, but from the bench. And I think that would be a great deal. So as far as other players that we get, I don't know, a lot of weird things are happening in this free agency. Like, players are re-signing with teams that you wouldn't expect. Like Thaddeus Young actually got a really big deal, a big deal from what I thought he was going to get to stay with Toronto. What did he get, did he get an $8 million a year per deal, or was it $4 million? I don't remember what it was, but I was surprised that Thad Young went back to the Raptors because I didn't think that he would go back. And then, honestly, after the Knicks signed Isaiah Hartenstein to that deal that they signed him to, I didn't think Mitchell Robinson was going to go back to New York. I guess a lot of people thought that, but I didn't. So the Bulls need to concentrate on guys that can hit threes or improve their three-point percentage. And how about that deal, unrelated to the Bulls, but a player that the Bulls have been linked to for a while, that Rudy Gobert deal to Minnesota? For the 5 players and the 4 first-round picks, 3 of which were unprotected picks. Holy crap, that is a haul. Now, that makes the Jazz have too many players. Does a guy like Jordan Clarkson become available? Does he get a buyout? Does a guy like Patrick Beverley potentially get a buyout? Probably not, but it's something you have to consider. Those are 2 guys that I wouldn't mind to have on the Bulls. But we definitely need to improve our shooting. In addition to maybe, that's why we need to flip a couple players and get a different, Javonte Green, as much as people like Javonte Green, I don't think he fits with this team to a degree. I don't know. I mean, we already got Derrick Jones Jr. to back up the 3. Do we play Javonte Green ahead of Derrick Jones Jr.? I don't know. Javonte Green is a spark plug. I will give you that, but I don't want to see him starting at power forward. Of course, injuries happen, and we'll probably have 3 or 4 players be injured, and we'll have Javonte Green in the lineup. So let me know in the comments section who is a player that we are able to acquire or sign that can improve this team's three-point shooting. Do we go back after Matt Thomas? I hope not. We want somebody that can play a lick of defense because Matt Thomas can't play any defense at all. So I think I'm done rambling because that's kind of what I've been doing. Just to recap, Bulls getting Andre Drummond to that 2-year, $6.6 million deal. Second year as a player option. Love the deal. Anybody that hates on Andre Drummond, you come talk to me. Reese, giving Zach LaVine the 5-year max deal, 5 years, $215.16 million. It's an overpay, but if we don't do it, we don't get to pay anybody else that money. And then, of course, bringing back Derrick Jones Jr. for a 2-year, $6.6 million deal. Again, we still have a little bit of money left, but the Reinsdorfs apparently, from what I've heard, don't want to go over the luxury tax, which if that's the case, I can't wait till the day that the Reinsdorfs don't have anything to do with the Bulls. I don't know when that day will come. I know they like baseball a lot more than basketball, but it really fucking pisses me off. So again, just to reiterate, I apologize for not talking about this sooner. I had a really busy day. Tomorrow, I am free for the majority of the day / afternoon until UFC's 276 prelims start at about 7 p.m. Central Time. Then I'll be preoccupied with doing reactions of fights on that card because it's a stellar card. And for you, those of you that like fights, the main event of the evening, of course, is Israel Adesanya versus Jared Cannonier. Co-main event, Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway 3. And, of course, you have Alex Pereira versus Sean Strickland. In addition to that, you have Ryan Barberino versus Robbie Lawler and Sean O'Malley versus Pedro Munoz. That is the main card. You also have Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Jim Miller on the prelims, and a few other fights. It's a lot to think of, but that's what I'll be preoccupied about 7 p.m. till 1:30 a.m. tomorrow. So if there's news during the afternoon slash or morning slash early afternoon, I'll certainly get on and do a video right away instead of waiting until the wee hours of the night to do a video about that. But again, reiterating, if you're a fan of anything that's on this channel, especially Chicago Bulls related content, make sure you smash that like button, share the video with anybody that you know that likes the Bulls or anything on this channel, or if you just want to put this on your social media platforms, that would be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on the Jonathan Isaac stuff that I endlessly talk about, because I apparently really like Jonathan Isaac. Any other moves that you think the Bulls will make, realistic moves, you know, obviously getting Giannis, KD, and LeBron James would be great. Yeah, we'd be unbeatable, maybe. And of course, if you're watching the video, please consider subscribing to the channel, join the team, show your support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.